Hey, what up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video I'm very excited about. I'm going to be reacting to Chuck once again, his Goku versus Saitama video, who would win. Now the reason why this is important now, even though there's been quite a bit of debates back and forth between who would win between Goku and Saitama, the reason that it's really important now is due to the fact that, well, the One Punch Man manga has basically wrapped up. I think it finished on chapter 169, so basically it's done. We've seen Saitama in his full power, what he can do, because for years people have been saying, well, we haven't seen what he could fully do, what he's capable of, and it's not fair to say Goku could beat him just by feats alone, because the argument usually is he's a gag character, he's a parody character, he's, you know, his whole thing, his whole shtick is he beats everybody with one punch and stuff, so he can't be beaten. And that's usually the argument that a lot of Saitama fans use. But the thing is, the kind of argument to that is, by the Dragon Ball fans, is he doesn't have feats that are matched up on Goku's level, especially when you get into Dragon Ball Super, then it's even more escalated. But usually the argument is between feats, and then sometimes the Saitama fans try to use external things. And the big argument that always gets brought up is, well, we haven't seen Saitama's full power, what he can utilize. And luckily, since the end of the manga was coming in, he was fighting his final enemy, he had to pull out his full power. Now we get to see his full power on display and see if it's on par with Goku or not. Now I haven't really read the manga itself, so I don't know specifically myself personally if it is, but from what I've heard, he's still quite powerful, but from what I've seen, it doesn't seem to have surpassed Goku still, especially in Dragon Ball Super when you're comparing it to that version. But I haven't really read the full thing, so I can't really say. And there's a lot of Saitama fans that say, yep, this definitely shows that he's stronger. I saw Forever World saying in a video that this means that he can beat Goku and Superman, which, I'm going to be honest, Forever World, I love his videos, he's a cool dude, but his power scaling videos are ass. He does not know shit about power scaling. That guy's the worst when it comes to asking about power scaling. He doesn't know anything. The moment he saw Saitama and heard One Punch Man, he's like, yeah, he's the best. He can beat Superman. He can beat Goku. He just said it because he was mad how Screw Tack had Goku lose to Superman. So it wasn't really because he truly thinks he's strong. It's just that he wanted to pick a new strong guy. But yeah, let's just get into it.
Within the anime world, there are two huge powerhouses that people think of. One of them being Saitama, the One Punch Man who has recently showcased what he is really capable of in the fight against a Cosmic Garu. The other, of course, is the OG, Son Goku, who has fought dozens of incredible adversaries.
I'm gonna skip some stuff just to...
People always like to compare Invincible and Naruto.
I'm just having fun.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's a pleasure. And if Saitama now has a chance,
I'm just happy that they finally got out, because this debate should be done after this. Obviously, there's still going to be people who disagree, because even though they hear one side will lose, they will never accept it. But for me, definitively, since it's fully out, now we can 100% compare Saitama's power to Goku. Now we can definitely know who's the strongest. Hopefully, he does a good, thorough analysis of it.
Legendary Super Saiyan.
So let's get into this. Chuck, do you think that Saitama can beat Saiyan Saga Goku?
No, easily. He would one-tap him. The best things we have in the Saiyan Saga is, like, Planet Plus. I mean, even if we use, like, anime filler, like, we saw King Vegeta wiping out, like, 3 planets, that was with the power level of 10,000. And then Goku and Vegeta surpassed that by several times, so, they're really powerful. And that's, Planet Plus is about as high as they get. So, I would actually argue that Saiyan Saga characters already had a really good chance against Saitama before he had his feat, of course. Given that, he punched away Boros' star-collapsing roar cannon, which, is like planet surface to planet levels consistently, but it can be argued higher, as we'll get into later on. For this feat, I do think Saiyan Saga characters had a good chance, but now, definitely not.
I will say this about Saiyan Saga. I already made a video on Vegeta. I don't think that they were planet busters at that time. Maybe small planet busters, but Earth-sized planet, I don't think so. I do think he could destroy the Earth. I don't think that was a lie. I just think he was going to do what Frieza did on Namek, where he overwhelmed the core of the planet, ending up destroying it, which wouldn't require full power as a planet buster. But I can see around that ballpark, at least.
I think we should also know that this Goku has Kaioken. It essentially allows him to multiply his power. From what I remember, King Kai stated, if he's not careful, he could end up destroying the Earth. So you could argue he's planetary based off that. I mean, we know this is pretty consistent. Doesn't Vegeta destroy, like, planets on his way to Earth during the Saiyan Saga? It's a pretty casual thing.
The only problem with that was filler. I don't like to count in fillers because then when we do, then we have to count in the whole Goku getting hurt by a rock thing by Krillin, which was a filler and is just BS.
Like you said earlier, he has a higher power level than King Vegeta, and King Vegeta was capable of destroying multiple planets with one
Also
single
filler.
attack. I've seen calculations for his speed place it at Dwarf Star level. Now that is pretty impressive, but I do think Saitama can be argued stronger than that. For example, if you use a Blu-ray guide, it states that Boros' collapsing star roaring cannon can apparently destroy stars.
Yeah, it definitely can be translated that way.
But yeah, how do you think it should be translated? Do you think you could argue Saitama is star level based off that?
If you want to interpret it as a star, yeah, but I would say going by the webcomic and the anime and the manga, they seem to imply it's more like planet surface to planetary.
Yeah, about the whole star thing, here's the thing. Destroying a sun requires far more power than destroying a planet or even the surface of a planet. The surface of a planet, all the nukes in the world can do that, but all the nukes in the world cannot destroy the entire Earth itself. It can't even destroy the moon from what I've heard. But yeah, the amount of power that you would need to go from surface level, even planet level, let's say that the attack could destroy the Earth, the amount of power you would need to go from destroying the Earth to a star is significantly higher. People like to say, categorize them close enough level, because some planets like Jupiter are closer to size of a star, but it also matters about the material within a star. Stars are harder to explode, have far more energy within it. So yeah, blowing up the Earth compared to blowing up the sun, the amount of power is far different. So when people say that, well, he could destroy the surface of the Earth, so he should be able to also destroy close enough to destroy the sun, it makes sense. No. That's not even close. Especially if it's the surface of the planet. How do you go from planet surface to sun level? I just think that's more of a hyperbole, and sometimes that happens when writers do these guides. They write these hyperbolic, statements, but that doesn't mean that it's always wrong. It just means that you have to compare it to what we've seen, and from what we've seen, it does seem like a hyperbole because he stated surface level. How do you go from just surface level to star level? That's like thousands to millions of times more powerful amount of power that you would need to match that, or even more probably.
Or if you really want to take the high road, but I think most consistently at that time, like it was a planetary feat.
That is true, and if you actually look at the kanji, the Japanese for it, I think it says it's a hoshi, and a hoshi means a celestial body, so it could be referring to a planet, a moon, a star, but I think it's generally used to refer to planets, especially within this context.
Also, I want to mention this. This happens all the time with any manga when they translate it. It happened with Dragon Ball and stuff too. That's one of the reasons, I don't want to say this, but that's one of the reasons I kind of hate the Japanese language, because they just bundle up a bunch of shit into one word, and sometimes it can contradict each other. So having planet, star, and moon all in one category, those are significantly different, celestial objects. So to try to put them into a similar category can get confusing. They do that sometimes with galaxies and universe too, and that's not even anywhere the same correlation either. So one thing people need to take into consideration when they use translation from Japanese to English is sometimes the translations aren't exactly correct, and you could use them if it was correlating with the show and what was stated in the show. If it's not correlating with that, or it's too far off, then yeah, I wouldn't use it.
So I do think it's mistranslated in the Blu-ray guide. However, I think it kind of depends on reader interpretation. So I think we can definitely conclude that Saiyan Saga Goku probably can't be Saitama. So let's talk about the next arc. Chuck, do you think it's possible that Saitama can be Frieza Saga Goku as well?
Going off power scaling, we know that even fodder is planetary, right? Ginyu Force, multiplanetary. First form Frieza, several times stronger than them. I believe the feat of destroying planet Vegeta can be calculated to being large planet, if not even dwarf star level. And it would make sense going by how we know the power gets in later in the series with Cell. You can easily get...
Also, one thing I wanted to add to him destroying that, he also destroyed his base pretty casually, though it does depend on the technique he used. Because on Namek, he used the Death Ball, and at most it could destroy, Namek, which is smaller and has a weaker gravitational force than Planet Namek. And that was in his final form, and he did it, in Planet Vegeta. And on Planet Vegeta, he destroyed it in his first form casually. But that depends on the technique. I think the Supernova technique is far more powerful than the Death Ball that he used on Namek. And he also used just a basic energy attack a lot of times. But the thing about it is even more impressive. People think that it just means 10 times more because the gravitational force is 10 times more. But no, it really that would be the bare minimum. Above that, it really depends on the density of the planet and the mass of the planet, how big the planet was. So if the planet was huge and it had like a lower density, it might be lesser than it would be than if it was smaller and had a higher density. So also that depends. There's a calculation you can do out there where you can change the size and mass of a planet, and by doing so you can basically find out how much more energy it would take to destroy it, and from there the estimates can get really ridiculous, sometimes to 1,000. So that's where you get the dwarf star level.
Yeah, Goku to being star level in this saga. And you can actually argue even higher depending on if you want to argue with the anime, which I will bring into play later on. I just don't think Goku has a chance against the Saitama. It just really comes down to speed and attack potency. The Saitama has his attack speed is way too much for anything for Goku at this point.
Yeah, I think you can argue that Goku and Frieza both reach star level within this arc. We know this because take first form Frieza. We know he can blow up planet Vegeta, which is stated to have a gravity 10 times that of Earth. The Peen anime was calculated to produce the energy equivalent of almost 2 tons of TNT, which is enough to destroy very small stars. Because power levels are linear within this arc, for example, if you multiply your power level by 2 times, you get 2 times stronger as well. Final form Frieza should be drastically stronger than first form Frieza, who's using less than 1%. So if you apply the multipliers, Namek Frieza and Goku should be reaching about star levels of power.
Yeah, definitely. Just going by how the series progresses, they should be at that level. With the anime, we can actually highball Goku really hardcore because there are 2 feats in there that not only give Goku really great speed, but also really great durability and attack potency. I'm just bringing this up because, unironically, like, you can argue for a highball Namek Saga Goku to go up against this fool, and here's why. There's this really crazy feat in the anime where we know that Bulma's spaceship, it took about a month to get to Namek, and this ship is so fast that it traveled from Earth to, I believe, Jupiter or Saturn in, like, basically a split second, right? And it took that a month to get to Namek, and we know that from the macrocosm maps that Namek is on the other side of the universe, and is easily a multi-galactic distance away. This is really important because Goku's spaceship got there in 6 days, meaning it was much faster than this. Now, why is this important?
And remember this, that the ship that Bulma and Krillin then went on, it went from the Earth to Jupiter in I think like a second or a little more. Some people say it was like way more, which I highly doubt. And most it was probably a second or more than that. And to go from Earth to Jupiter is insane because I think there's I forgot where there is, but somewhere they said there's a calculation that, and I can do it later on some other time in another video, but there's a calculation somewhere that states that to go from the Earth to Jupiter, it takes like 15, of you're moving at the speed of light, it takes light to go from Earth to Jupiter like at 15 minutes. So the fact that that ship was able to reach it within like a couple of seconds at most, to Jupiter from Earth, whereas light will take 15 minutes, that means it's many times faster than the speed of light, and Goku's ship was even faster than that. So that would mean these ships are way faster than the speed of light. So it makes sense that why these characters would be faster than the speed of light by a lot. Of the ships or machine that they can create can move at those tremendous speeds, then it should be plausible that the beings that are, godly levels should also be able to move at those speeds or even higher.
Important is because King Kai could keep track of this ship, yet could not keep track of Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza fighting in the Namek Saga. Basically, this is telling you that Goku and Frieza were so fast that even King Kai, who could keep track of this multi-galactic, distance-traveling spaceship, he could not see them, right? To
be honest with that statement thing there, it was only shown in the anime, I'm pretty sure. It wasn't really stated in the manga that he couldn't see them. It was basically when they were summoning the dragon and Frieza was going to it and then Goku tried to intercept him and fight him. I think he mentioned that in the anime, but in the manga, I could be wrong, tell me if I was wrong or whatever, but I don't think it's ever mentioned. And to be honest, I wouldn't put him at that fast because the calculations from I saw put them at trillions of times the speed of light, and I highly doubt that there were trillions of times the speed of light at that point. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have reached it at all, but that early on, no. Personally, I do think that Namek Saga is when they reach the speeds of light and faster than that. At most, I would put Goku, even at base, around maybe 2 to 3 times at most faster than speed of light, 2 to 3 times faster than speed of light, and then you multiply that with Super Saiyan, or maybe 2 to 3 times with Super Saiyan on top of it, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times with Super Saiyan. But I do think they are faster than the speed of light, at least at the point of Saiyan Saga, but I wouldn't put them trillions or hundreds. I wouldn't even put them hundreds of times faster than the speed of light, maybe tens of times at most. But yeah, usually I'll put them around 2 to 3, maybe 5 times the speed of light at that time, because we do see some light speed feats. And I will talk about one in a future video that a lot of people try to disagree and discredit, and I'll go through why that's a stupid argument.
So you can easily like highball his speed. I believe billions, trillions of times FTL, depending on.
See, yeah, I don't. That's too ridiculous to me. I wouldn't cut. This is one of the things that I hate about power scalers in general. They over exaggerate stuff. They take high balls. They don't try to see the medium between these characters' powers. Look at what is consistent. Is what we've seen throughout Dragon Ball Z, and I know Dragon Ball Z has a lot of inconsistencies when it comes to feats, especially speed. But still, even with that taken into consideration, is there consistently showing feats where these guys are faster than trillions of times faster than the speed of light? No. Is there feats that show them faster than the speed of light? Yes, I can definitely argue that. But trillions of times, no, that's too ridiculous. Especially this early on, because it's like, how fast was he by the end of the Buu saga? Was he quintillions, times? Which is arguably how fast, Beerus is. So it wouldn't make sense to put their speed at that high level that early on. Like I said, a couple of times the speed of light, 100% I can agree. Those who disagree with it, I think, are just trying to bullshit. But trillions of times, that's way too much of a highball. I'm not taking that.
How you want to interpret how far away Namek is. And also, this is not really consistent going by the manga, but obviously this is anime. And going
Even
by
the anime is not
how
consistent.
the later arcs interpret the power of the characters, it actually is not really that far-fetched. So there's actually this scene where Namek is exploding, and the explosion can be seen from up to a galactic distance. So you can interpret that it could even be higher than star level, like solar system. I've even heard it being argued to be multi-solar system level.
Problem with that, another problem, and I know I'm going to be pausing quite here and there because every information about feats and stuff, I want to dive more deep into it because I think it's important for you guys to understand. Because I know a lot of you guys like to power scale, but a lot of people don't know how to power scale correctly. When you see stuff like that where there's like a visual representation, like in an anime or in a show in general, where they showcase something like that, don't take it 100% literal all the time. Yes, the explosion might look like it created such a big explosion it could be, destroy solar systems or nebula level, like size. I don't think so. I still think that the explosion was higher, bigger than a normal planet destroying one, but I would not put it at a solar system level. Because if that was the case, then why would Cell stating that he has enough ki to destroy the solar system right now be an impressive feat? Why would him stating that be impressive if they could do that all the way back in the Frieza saga and even beyond that? And also in the official guides, the Hispanic one, where they, Gohan and him clash, they said Gohan was able to, surpass his attack, which was solar system level, which had a big emphasis on, which I do believe that they are solar system level by the Cell saga. But to argue that there are multiple solar system level in this, no. Star level, yeah, I can argue that. But solar system level, no. That representation they showed there is just a visual representation. A lot of people take it out of context. They see this stuff like, oh, this, that. But remember, these artists are not trying to draw these 100% all the time to exactly scale. Even looking at these characters, a lot of times their heights are not even matching up. Sometimes Vegeta's way taller than he should be, and sometimes he's way smaller. So a lot of times the art is, misleading. And we have times where they have damage marks on them, and other times they don't, even if there's still damage. So I want to take the visual representation too literal. That explosion, from what I saw, was just a visual representation to show the explosion, but it wasn't to be an accurate depiction of how big the explosion was. So I'm not putting this in a multi-solar system level, maybe, star level with the size.
That's a bit of a stretch,
Definitely.
if you ask me, but I think that saying it's at least above star level is, really reasonable,
Yeah.
and I think that Goku with that speed could contest against Saitama. If you want a highball going off the spaceship feat, and with attack potency, you could argue that he is, multi-solar system level.
Personally, I don't see Saitama being trillions of times the speed of light, but then again, I didn't read the manga, so I don't want to be, hypocritical and be like, oh, this, that, without seeing. He's going to give more information, but I don't put him at that. I've been trying to find the rest of the chapters. For some reason, I have this website that can only go up to chapter 61. 169 is the final one.
But I'm not going to argue that he's that strong. I'm just saying that it can be brought up.
Now that is possible to argue, but to be absolutely fair, you might be able to argue that King Kai can only keep track of a ship because it's moving in a linear fashion. It's moving straight towards his destination, whereas Goku and Frieza are moving side to side, making it difficult for King Kai to track, so it might be because of that as well. As for Namek blowing up, and you being able to see the explosion happen from outside a galaxy, that does seem perfectly valid, but there might be other feats in the future that somewhat contradict that. So this Namek Saga Goku should be able to match the power of Season 1 Saitama, if you're being generous to Saitama. So Chuck, do you think Saitama can beat Cell Saga Goku? I think it's starting to get a little bit more difficult now for Saitama.
The thing with the Cell Saga is that we know Super Perfect Cell was a solar system buster, and although Goku had a pretty good fight against him, he was not quite on the level of Perfect Cell, so he was still in the star levels pretty much. I would say that consistency-wise, he does not have a chance, but maybe you could argue him having...
How strong was Saitama in the newer one? I gotta see the feats, like I said. I respect Chuck, I respect Seth the Programmer, I respect these debaters, but a lot of times they state stuff that are just incorrect. If you watch my Reverse Flash versus Goku Black video, I mentioned Seth the Programmer and Chuck in that, and they mentioned some ridiculous feats by, the Flash and, him being multiversal, and I already debunked that and I went quite in depth in that and disproved why it wasn't the case. So a lot of times they state these stuff, but you have to really watch it and thoroughly analyze it. That's what I usually do. But I'm not saying that isn't the case.
Feat from Namek Saga Goku, but generally I don't think Cell Saga Goku has a chance.
Well, you might be able to argue that Cell can destroy more than just a solar system, because apparently solar systems within Dragon Ball are like nebulae. They have countless stars within them. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what's stated in the Daizenshu.
Yeah, it is said in the Daizenshu that these solar systems are made up of countless celestial bodies, so they can be argued to being far larger than a typical solar system, and this would make Cell stronger.
The endless expansive universe wrapped around a celestial body that exists in a living world around the demon realm. Beyond it is sealed by the barrier that is engraved. Strange within the universe, nebula exposed of moon, stars, and galaxies. And it resides in a celestial body. I mean, I would just say that's more terminology. They said the nebulas hold countless stars in it, which is true, but the solar system doesn't. We've seen the solar system, and even in the Battle of Gods movie, when Beerus was going to destroy the solar system, we stated that the explosion is going to go all the way out to Pluto, which is where we usually, even though Pluto's not a planet anymore, that's where we usually try to cap off the solar system. Though there is a further distance called the Oort cloud, which is like 2 light years across. It's like 2 light years across all around in I think diameter and stuff. So it's the solar system is a lot bigger than what we know, but I'm pretty sure they're going to the general definition of a solar system, like where the star is and where the end of the asteroid belt on the outskirts of the other planets are. When they're talking about other celestial bodies, I don't think they mean stars. I think they just mean planets, basically talking about the solar system planets. So I wouldn't put that in the category.
Than baseline solar system level, which is pretty impressive.
But obviously Saitama does gain stronger feats. The most notable being the one where Saitama's Serious Punch collides with Garu's Serious Punch and creates his hole in space. You can just see that these countless stars have been destroyed. It seems like his multi-solar system level feat. I assume that thousands of stars have been destroyed. We know this is a combined feat between Saitama and Garu, so there should be at least half of his feat. But from what I know, this feat can be highballed to even higher than just multi-solar system level. Right, Chuck?
Actually, there's a scan that implies it's more than multi-solar system range, because there's other panels where we see galaxies in the distance, and if we literally don't see any galaxies...
I will admit, that is very impressive. If that is the case, that he was able to wipe out countless stars, wiping out a single solar system, not including the entire thing that's 2 light years across, which would be way bigger than this, but that is the Oort cloud, and usually we don't talk about that when we're talking about solar system, especially when it comes to powerful characters. But if that's the case, then yeah, we'll put him definitely above Cell Saga Goku. But once again, I have to see it to see if that's exactly the case. If they did wipe out that big of a level of stars, if they did, then that would have wiped out countless solar systems too. But I can't believe that he could wipe out solar systems, stars and solar systems like that. But who knows? Maybe it's just my own biases. So let's just see more.
And that shot, that would imply that they blew away or destroyed all of those star systems and likely entire galaxies. So I would say that the low ball is multi-solar system level, and the high.
And who knows? It probably cannot be the case. It probably might not be the case either, because there's a lot of parts in space where they do have galaxies and stars, but there's some empty spaces in it. So who knows? Maybe they punched it and it looked like they wiped out all the stars, but they were in an empty space that looked like it. But once again, that is just my assumption. I could be wrong. I just need to really read the manga to know definitively.
Eyeball is easily multi-galactic. I would say it is at least galactic. But I mean, yeah, I think this is way too much for Cell Saga Goku to take care of, just consistency-wise.
I think everybody can agree that his feat is at least multi-solar system level. Whether it's multi-galactic or galactic is a little bit more out there.
It's not galactic. Wiping out a section of the galaxy is impressive, but people need to understand how big a galaxy is. I mean, the Oort cloud, like I said, as a whole, the solar system is 2 light years. Our galaxy is 100 trillion, not 100 trillion, 100,000 light years across. So that's far bigger. So yeah, I wouldn't put this at galaxy level. Once again, people need to understand, even if somebody destroys countless, well, not countless, but tons of solar systems, that would not equate to galaxy level. It might be a portion of galaxy level, like 10% or something around there, but not as galaxy level as a whole. Just know galaxies are far bigger. When you get to bigger celestial objects, they're a lot bigger. Moons compared to Earths, Earths compared to, planets compared to stars, stars compared to solar systems compared to galaxies. We get some astronomical big units, and if you look at mathematical measurements, it'll go up to millions to billions to trillions of times more power it require each level you go up.
We say that because it is true that we can see some galaxies in the background, even though that shouldn't actually be possible. Usually because galaxies have like this Roche distance, meaning they can only really be certain distances apart. What I mean is this minimum distance so they don't collide.
Just remember, once again, this is fiction. A lot of the stuff that you see in these fictional stuff isn't literal. Sorry for that. I just noticed the lighting was low, but yeah, it is not literal. When they see these, that's why I don't like when people look at the drawings too much. Like, look at how it looked like this. You need to understand that these artists cannot always be hyper realistic, especially in a fictional world. I mean, look what they're doing. This is not realistic anyway. So for them to going too, scientifically accurate on how they model the design of the universe, it's not a very reasonable argument to make. So I wouldn't really use that.
With the naked eye, you can't really see more than the
Yeah, I'm just gonna skip this part.
They are, unless you're looking through a telescope. So you can see multiple galaxies away. Whether Saitama is actually destroying them is still also seen in the exact area that was blown up. It might be the case, but we can't say for certain, so it's a little bit ambiguous.
I don't think they're galaxies, they've just been stars yet.
Regardless, Saga Goku loses, even if you interpret Saitama's feat the lowest possible way, technically in between the end of this saga and the beginning of a Buu saga, there was a very impressive feat that Goku was able to pull off, and Chuck's just gonna talk about that now.
So a really crazy feat that happens in the anime is shortly after the Cell Saga, but before the Buu Saga, in which Goku and Pikkon are...
I'm not counting this. Like I said, filler is filler. I don't fuck with filler. Filler is not very logical. So I'm just going to be skipping the filler argument and anything he's talking about in depth.
First, and it is like both
yeah,
really consistent.
Yeah, I'm not going by these. And he explains this in another video too.
I think it depends on how you scale Buu Saga Goku, so manga Goku should be at least multi-solar system level, given that he's several times stronger than, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Cell. But in the anime, you can easily argue that he's multi-solar system level in base alone, being that he fought against stronger opponents that literally one-tap Cell. So, yeah. Then we have Fat Buu casually wiping out galaxies, and...
I like how you mentioned Fat Buu. I mentioned in my Buu Destroying the Galaxy video, I talked about they had to specifically be talking about Fat Buu, not Kid Buu. So the fact that he mentioned that, I like that.
He was stated to be a universal threat, and we also have a crazy feat in the anime where Kid Buu was threatening to destroy the Grand Kai's planet, which orbits heaven, which, as I said, is as wide as the universe, and although we don't have the exact size of this planet, it is at least multi-galactic,
Actually, that's not true. It was stated in the Daizenshuu that the heaven realm was the size of the universe and ever-growing, but the Grand Kai's planet, it is massive. If you see the image above it, the Grand Kai planet is not significantly smaller than the universe, but it is quite a bit smaller. So I would put the heaven as the same size as the universe, and the Grand Kai's planet as quite a bit big, but not as a total. Maybe like 50 to 40, maybe 30% the size of the universe. Also, I do want to mention the fact that this is, once again, anime only, and I like to focus... I don't like the power scale in the manga. The manga's power scale is far too weak compared to the anime, but I don't want to go just specifically on anime only. I just think
even
that's too much.
As a low ball. But Kid Buu was implied with being able to wipe this out, and obviously... So if we use the previous feats from the anime as well, I think Goku has way too much speed at this point for Saitama, and they should have comparable attack potency. However, if we use manga Goku, then I don't think that he has a chance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We do see Boo shred galaxies visually, like you said, and we also know Boo's meant to be this massive threat to the universe, at least according to the...
Even with the manga, I will still say his speed is a lot higher and his fighting style is a lot more dangerous than what Saitama can offer. And he still has instant transmission, he can use that in a battle.
Kai's within their lifetime. I would assume that Boo is at least multi-galactic and able to destroy galaxies pretty casually. This might be consistent with the fact that when Boo...
Sorry if you missed some of it, the recording kind of stopped because it reached this time limit. So yeah, what I was trying to say is, this is an anime only again, once again. I'm not trying to harp too much on the anime only stuff because I don't really prefer the manga's, power scaling anyway. But I wouldn't go specifically on the anime only unless if there's some, argument that it could be 100% plausible in both in the anime and the manga. But yeah, the manga version is a lot weaker. For them to state that the manga version of Goku would lose, I don't think so. Even if it's the manga Goku, I still think he should be able to beat Saitama if you go Super Saiyan 3. Full powered Super Saiyan 3 should definitely be able to beat Saitama in full power. But once again, I haven't really read the comic books. I'm going to have to read a little more. But from what they've shown, that shouldn't put him way above him. Yes, attack damage is important, but also durability, so is speed, so is technique, so is abilities. All this stuff is also important in a fight. So they forgot to mention that. Putting Boo at multi-galaxy level, I would not put Fat Boo or even Kid Boo at multi-galaxy level. At most, I would put, Kid Boo at Nebula level. But when we do get to, Super Buuhan, then I'll put him at a galaxy level and multi-galaxy level. The dimensional crushing thing definitely would argue that. And even if we don't use the anime, just use the manga, he should be far stronger than that. If Kid Boo, I would put him at Nebula level. Remember, Super Boo is even stronger than him, and then Super Boo Gotenks Absorb is even more powerful than that, and then the Buuhan is even more powerful than that. So the power scaling would be ridiculous, and especially Super Saiyan Vegito. So yeah, I would definitely put him in multi-galaxy level, but only when he's in his Super Buuhan form. But besides that, maybe Super Gotenks form would be around that level, and Super Boo would be galaxy level, but below that, I'll put them at Nebula level.
I'd say it depends on how long you interpret Boo would take to wipe out the universe. Like, they do imply that it would take at least within the Kaioshin's lifetime, which is millions of years, so he'd be wiping out billions of galaxies in that time frame, so multi-solar system level at the very least, but logically galactic levels going by the anime, and we also have to keep in mind that Boo was being very casual when he was wiping out.
Also, I don't think that feat is too ridiculous to believe. The reason why I don't believe it's too ridiculous, look at what he did inside the hyperbolic time chamber. He was able to punch a hole through reality from one end to another by just screaming. And I know this isn't him destroying the dimension, but this is just a scream. Remember, he's just purely screaming just to escape, not to blow it up. He screamed and he was able to tear a hole between fabrical realities and move through in between dimensions. And if he can do that in Super Boo form and just getting angry and screaming, it's very plausible to me that in Buuhan form with, his multiplier of having Piccolo, having Gotenks, and having what's the thing called? Mr. Gohan, who's stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku inside his body, and him being fully enraged to the point where he's peering out, full out his power, and, full on, I can definitely see that he could be, on that level or could do a feat on that. So there is some correlation with even the manga using that, going off of scaling. It makes sense, so it's not too ridiculous.
Now these galaxies.
I know it's also possible to argue that Boo's universal because he stated that he could make the universe go poof, which implies that he'll do it very quickly. Maybe in just a singular attack. I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
No, I don't consider him universe level, because once again, if that was the case, then Beerus' feat of wiping out the universe would not be as impressive. Goku and Beerus doing that. I do think throughout time, Boo could have done it. Who knows, maybe in a short amount of time, hundreds of thousands of years, maybe millions of years, he could have done it, but I'm not going to say one-shotting the universe. He's not universal.
I don't really agree with Universal Kid Boo, but I can't see it being argued that high. But generally speaking, I think Boo Saga Goku just has too much going up against Saitama if we use, the utter amazing feats that we have in the anime.
Yeah, I think that should be a fair assessment of Goku's powers. So he probably isn't universal at this point, but you can definitely argue it, I think.
Also, I don't think he needs to be universal level to beat Saitama. At this point, you would put him soul system level, at highest galaxy level. You wouldn't need a universe buster to beat a guy that's galaxy level, because one galaxy compared to the whole universe, there's 2 trillion galaxies in a universe. And that's not even equating the space in between them and even further out. So 2 trillion galaxies in a universe with additional space in between it, which would make it even bigger. So you would at the very least, have to be 2 trillion of, even if you're a galaxy buster at max, would have to be 2 trillion times stronger to be a universal level threat or wipe out the universe.
Saitama can't really get anywhere near that unless you use maybe the hyperspace arguments. What I mean by that is, we know that he's able to kick away these hyperspace portals that Garu creates. Now, a hyperspace, from my understanding, is meant to be a space with more than just 3 dimensions. So usually an extra dimensional space, like a 4D space or above. Sometimes in fiction it refers to a space-time continuum in which you can travel faster than light. There's probably not that. So maybe it is this high dimensional?
Yeah, maybe it's just the name of the thing, or it just sounds like it. Because people take it like, this definition might be true for some, but not all. Just know that these definitions aren't always 100% with every fictional universe.
And like I said, Saitama easily kicks these away. But he's only kicking away the portals. I don't know if it necessarily scales to his power.
You could argue
Also,
for
how
the
do you
attack
kick portal away?
potency, but I mean, he more so manipulated and touched them. He didn't really destroy them. But even if he could destroy them, it doesn't really matter because basically of the feats that we have in Super.
Guess this finally leads us on to, could Saitama beat Goku in Dragon Ball Super? More
No.
specifically, can he beat Super Saiyan God Goku from a Battle of God?
They already basically stated, he was in universe level. At most you can put him galaxy level, multi-galaxy level at highest, but even that is not universe level at all. And in the first arc alone in Dragon Ball Super, he was universe level, so that's a far ridiculous jump in power.
Woodstock. At this stage, Goku's capable of easily destroying this macrocosm, or at least potentially destroying it. And as a lot of you might know, the Universe 7 macrocosm is like this space that's made up of multiple different universes. And just by clashing with Beerus, the shockwaves were capable of possibly destroying this construct. And the waves travel throughout the macrocosm pretty casually as well, within seconds in the anime, and instantly in the manga.
Yeah, so they were going to destroy all of these realms. Heaven, which is as wide as the universe, the Grand Kai's planet, Hell, the Kaioshin realm, which is outside of it. And I have done calculations on how big the afterlife is, and you can actually fit over 170 heavens within it, which is basically universe-sized planets, right? So Goku gets several Zenkais, becomes thousands of times, arguably millions of...
And in the anime, he absorbs it in his base, so his base is that level, so that's
stronger
ridiculous.
than where he was before. And so he can basically wipe out hyperspace many, many times over. And this is due to the fact that the afterlife is stated to be in a higher dimensional realm in the Daizenshu, so...
It is. I mean, if it contains a universe-sized planet in it, and it's even bigger than that, it has to be. Also, it is stated multiple times that it has no time. There's no time in the afterlife. I think Hell is also the same. There's no time, concept of time there, just like the World of Void.
4D, right? Easily.
And even if you did grant the hyperspace argument to Saitama, I don't think it's enough to scale him above Goku, who's capable of destroying macrocosms. Since destroying macrocosm construct like that, you'd probably at least need 4th dimensional power anyway, and then obviously Goku gets way stronger from there.
Yeah, a little multiversal at least, yeah.
Meaning even if you highball Saitama, he's still struggling against this version of Goku.
I mean, honestly, even if we said that Saitama can destroy a 4D realm, I mean, revival of Frieza Goku was already stronger than the Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God Goku that fought Beerus. And at that point, we don't even have to bring up Super Saiyan Blue or Ultra Instinct, so, yeah.
Yeah, completely. I think the form's called Saiyan Beyond God, where he absorbs it into his base form, all of his god powers. However, you could argue it's a separate form. It doesn't matter, really, because he just stacks like other forms like Super Saiyan God on top of that, and then Super Saiyan Blue, etc. So of course that means we're not going to talk about Ultra Instinct. There's no point, really. Ultra Instinct's just too broken for Saitama and too strong. This would finally move us...
It was fun to me that even before this end of the manga, people were saying that Saitama could beat Ultra Instinct Goku. And that wasn't even using the feats. I know you could argue, well, we don't know how powerful he was, and we see how powerful he is, but that wouldn't put him on this level.
Skills and abilities. Who's better at martial arts?
Definitely
Who has the better
obviously.
abilities? That kind of thing. So what do you think about that, Chuck?
Okay, so let's say that they were equal in attack potency, right? Goku would still have better speed feats. I mean, like, they were able to react to their shockwaves, which went outside of the universe in mere seconds. The thing with Saitama is that he doesn't really know how to fight, and this is pretty evident in many areas. One of them being when he fights off against Suiryu, and he asks him if martial arts is just being able to move really cool, right? Plus, when he fights off against Garo,
That's
Garo
funny.
says that although he's really strong and is really agile, he says that he's full of openings and lacks skill, right? And Saitama even says that Garo was hard to hit because of his martial arts. Additionally, in an interview with One in Murata, they basically ask if Saitama has any weakness in sports, and they say that, you know, he wouldn't be good at table tennis or football because he lacks technique. And yeah, this is sports, obviously, but it is pretty, like, similar to the statements that other characters have made in comparison to fighting, right? However, Saitama has really insane power growth, and we saw it spike up crazily up against Garo, so you could argue that it is much faster than Goku.
So he gets stronger. Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was like, from what we've seen the feats, even if he was holding back, the fact that he was destroying city level characters to now going to this level is too ridiculous. So this does disprove the whole argument that he's infinite. They say he has limitless potential, which Goku has that too, so that doesn't really mean much. And they do say he has a crazier curve, but that might be initially now because, let's say this. He was fighting against weaker characters and he had to hold back already, so he had no reason to reach his higher potential. But I think the reason why he escalated so high was because he fought an opponent so far above anybody else he fought that now it required him to get way stronger. So I don't think that he grows exponentially throughout every fight. Maybe it's just this one because it was far bigger. Just like kind of like with Frieza. When Frieza, first obtained golden form, he went from way weaker to insanely weaker, stronger. Like he was insanely weak compared to where they were at that point to insanely strong. But after that, he hasn't really gained that much of an XP. Like XP is like a video game, but he doesn't gain that much power. He hasn't gotten that significantly more powerful than he was the last time. Because if he did, then instead of having Broly come down to destroy the Goku and Vegeta, all he would have to do is train for a bit and surpass them easily and obliterate them themselves. Even what after what happened with the Tournament of Power.
But I mean, we've seen Goku get insane boosts in just a couple of minutes, and he also gets stronger over time. So they kind of have the same ability in that sense.
Yeah, Saitama definitely gets outskilled by Goku if it's like a pure fist fight and they're the same level. And this moves us into a massive contention. A lot of people claim that Saitama is like limitless, and he's this gag character that can't lose, all these things. Is that true? Firstly, gag characters can lose. They're not all invincible. They do have these powers that make them somewhat unbeatable, but they can lose within their own fiction. In fact, within Dragon Ball, characters like Ariel, who Toriyama created, can lose to characters like Beerus. So if anything, Dragon Ball characters actually have this resistance to gag characters, unironically.
Yeah, it was implied.
I wouldn't count that one too much. I know that people say the anime does not have filler because it doesn't go by the manga, but it was a fillerish type of episode. I mean, the episode didn't really make sense. If you think about it, Arale could not possibly be in, the Dragon Ball universe. Why? Because their universes are too different. The Dragon Ball universe has fake, cities, fake continents and stuff, whereas in Arale's universe, they have places like in the real world, like America, they have China, they have Japan. The only thing they have different that isn't like our world is the fact that they have Penguin Village, which doesn't exist in real life, and the fact that it's a little more animated, like the fact that the sun has a face and can talk.
That gag powers wouldn't work on Beerus, and Goku is...
So it wouldn't make sense. Also, the fact that Whis came down to Earth in a second when we know it takes him a couple of minutes at least.
Around Beerus' level, like, he should be around there logically. I mean, they've stated so many times that he was at the realm of the gods and surpassed them, but I don't know. I mean, they keep raising the bar on Beerus, but...
Yeah.
They've even said that apparently he's not there yet, so honestly, I don't even know what to believe anymore. The point is, Goku got insanely much more powerful than he was when he first fought Rayleigh, right?
My other contention is that people think that Saitama is invincible because he can one-shot anybody in fiction.
No.
That clearly isn't true. He can't even one-shot everybody in his own fiction. And it would also be a no-limits fallacy to say that characters who are quote-unquote invincible within their own series could technically lose against somebody who is...
That is the biggest, I would say, number one biggest problem a lot of debating / versus fans have is the fact that they state this character has this ability, or this character can do this. That means they have infinite power. They cannot be lose. And it's like, if they cannot lose, then how come there's stories where they have lost? And also, it's like, sometimes, like, maybe in their universe they can't lose, but what if they're in a stronger universe? That's just illogical. Yes, I would say there's some certain characters, like godly beings in universes, where they can't lose and they're untouchable. Like, they have no limits. But the biggest problem is a lot of times you use it for every character. Majority of characters nowadays have these BS no limit fallacies. That's why I made the power scale, superpower. I forgot what it's called. Powers explained. playlist on my videos. I have a Powers Explained playlist and a debunking playlist because I want to go into these characters that are stated to be unbelievably powerful and have these unbelievably powerful techniques that make them have no limits, and I want to analyze how their powers work and also debunk these no limit fallacies. Because it could work for some characters, like I said, for Presence or the one above all, though there's some arguments there. But characters like that, there's 100% arguments for that. But then there's certain characters where people just like they have no limits. They say it for Journo. They say this for Itachi and his Mangekyo Sharingan. They say this for Saitama. They say this for Your Watch, whatever his name is from Bleach. They say this all the time, and a lot of times it's just a no limit fallacy. And that's one thing that a lot of you guys need to take in consideration when you argue is you can't just say this character can do this so they can be unstoppable. There is a no limits fallacy right there.
Also, invincible from another...
Also, if that was the case, didn't he fight, what's the thing called? He fought Goro? They had multiple comic book issues. If he was one-shotting every time, shouldn't he be a one-shot of the guy already? If he fought him, hit him multiple punches and not holding back.
And saying that he can beat anybody in fiction is so lame. It would kind of be like me being up like a bunch of kids and claiming that I'm invincible just because I'm way stronger than everybody else I know. Like, it just doesn't work, really.
Because Saitama's clearly not able to one-punch anyone in fiction, right? Because he's trying against Garo. He literally said, I can go all out against him, and Garo has survived.
Yeah, and also if he was that way, then that would mean he would have, like they said, no limit fallacy. It would mean he had no limits in terms of power, not potential or growth. In terms of power. But if that was the case, then how would he go full power against him? He's like, I can use my full power and cut loose. He would have no limit to it. So yeah, the fact that one, that he's going full on out, like he said, and two, the guy's able to take the attacks and still come back, that showcases that his power is not infinite, and just because he's called One Punch Man doesn't mean he can kill everybody with one punch. Here he fought against a guy who was far more stronger, and he hasn't been able to take him out in multiple chapters.
Multiple punches already, so
Clearly
that whole gag force power that they think he has is no longer there.
Yeah, but the way I've always interpreted the author saying that Saitama is limitless isn't because he can beat anybody in fiction or beat anybody, it's rather he has a potential to do that. So like you said, he may reach his limit against Garu and now has to try, but he can break that limit. According to the audio, it stated that Saitama grows in power every single day. He can beat himself from a previous day with one punch, so with each day he gets like a one-shot level stronger. So he's limitless in that regard, I think.
Yeah, so people really freak out over Saitama being able to, like, fold the moon or, like, sneezing away a planet, which is really crazy, don't get me wrong. But they try to say that Dragon Ball characters can't do that, or they haven't been...
Destroying a planet with one punch, in the manga, you see Beerus and Champa, they're punching and they're destroying planets, even just landing on the planets, they're destroying it. But yeah, just because they haven't visually shown it doesn't mean they can't do it. Frieza survived a planet destroying attack while being cut in half, while being hit with a Kamehameha and having the other half of his body burned off and being severely depleted. He survived a planet explosion. Guess what? He was far weaker and he was able to tank that. So obviously he has durability past that of a planet level, way past that. And him getting hit by physical attacks was hurting him. If Frieza came back not getting the power boost from Resurrection of F, he would have been one-shotted. So even by DBZ Goku. So yeah, he has planet level durability and beyond that, and he gets hurt by physical attacks, showcasing their attacks would destroy planets. It's just that it's not physically shown because Toriyama doesn't like to go in outer space. He likes to keep him more contained on a planet.
Shown to do that. I mean, although we do have to fight between Beerus and Champa, right? We haven't seen Goku do that, but they logically can.
Yeah, just
because,
think logically.
We've seen Goku 1-2 tap Raccoon and Burger, who were way stronger, and took an attack from Vegeta, who was going to wipe out the planet Earth. So, yeah, that's a pretty clear planetary striking strength feat right there. And we also have Trunks casually cutting apart Frieza, a stronger one, and mind you, that a much weaker one that was nearly dead survived the explosion of Namek, yet Trunks cut him apart like nothing, and Goku deflected those same strikes, so they can clearly destroy planets like that if they really wanted to, but they also have really good ki control, which is why they don't destroy everything in their path.
Unlike Saitama, which I don't think has that
originally we were going to drop this video a lot sooner, but the new feed came out, right, and a lot of people are talking about it, and basically what happens is that Saitama copies Garo's ability to travel back in time, and he basically punches Garo before the fight even started, really, right? So I've seen some people say that this is like immeasurable speed, which it really isn't. Immeasurable speed is being able to move through time through pure speed alone, and this was clearly not speed.
Yeah, this is more of a technique, and from what I've heard, the object that he's holding in his hand is like a time machine type of thing. So I don't think he was copying his ability, he just used a machine that could copy
ability, right? And we don't even know if he still has the ability to begin with. And even if he did use it against someone in combat, it would be really weird for it to work.
Yeah, a lot of people claim that it's inaccessible speed, because what happened was this punch was landed before he was even on the moon. Yeah, it states that this punch was powered up on the moon, which is technically the case, because Garou was punched with the force, and the power that Saitama had gained while he was on the moon, growing exponentially. And as he punched Garou, that future was erased. That's why it stated that there was this reversal of causality. So because that future Saitama and his timeline is being...
Also, people, from what I heard, they said he can manipulate reality. That's not manipulating reality. When you manipulate time, in some certain fictions, when you manipulate time and affect it, it will affect reality in itself. Other ones will not. Like in Dragon Ball, going back in time will not affect that reality. It will just branch out another one, which will be changed by it. So the original one where you came from, it's still going the same path, and the new one that you reached on, it will go a different branch by your, interference into it. So yeah, that's different. And, other fictional worlds, they do that. Like, I guess in One Punch Man, if you mess with time, what happens in the past changes the future, just like in most other, time traveling, type of shows or movies. But in Dragon Ball, that's not how they go. If you mess with time, you're not messing with, any other timeline except for the one that you're going back to alter. So if he did time travel, he would be branching out to another one and not be even attacking that Goku. He'll be attacking a different one.
Erased and he's punched Garou. Technically, Garou was punched by nothing, therefore beaten with 0 punches. And then we all see what happens right after that. Saitama merges with his past self, and that's just how causality and time travel works within One Punch Man.
Yeah, so how I interpret it is that he just copied Garou's ability, obviously, into the fight before it began. But, he wasn't moving, right? It was just, time travel hacks, right? I don't think it's fair to say that he can move through time by just moving really fast, right? So I don't think that's immeasurable speed. Maybe you could argue immeasurable, hacks, but I just don't think this feat is really
it's like hits Tokudobashi. It's not really him doing that fast.
Situation. But I will say, though, in the Garou fight, they do emphasize a lot that his power is growing, immensely, right? So maybe you could argue that they were equal stats, theoretically, right? Do you think Saitama could possibly take over Goku with his growth, or do you think Goku has just about as much growth as Saitama? Because, he's gone insanely strong in a couple of minutes, as we've seen.
That is true. Goku has this ability to innately get stronger during a fight. He can even get Zenkai boost. I don't even know how effective his time-traveling ability would even be in this scenario within this fight. And I only say that because if he was to go back in time to, let's say, kill Goku as a child or something, that would just create another timeline if we're using Dragon Ball logic.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how Trunks went back in time to save Goku and create this alternate timeline where Goku survived, wasn't killed because of a heart virus.
If we went by Dragon Ball standards, right, then if theoretically Saitama went back, we don't even know how far back he would be able to go to begin with, but if he theoretically went back that far, it would just be a split Goku, it would be the same one.
Like I said, that Goku would just be standing where the hell did he go?
He'd ultimately be fighting another Goku, another version of Goku, not the original version of Goku he was fighting originally. So he's kind of removing himself from the battlefield.
Yeah, so as you can see, just going from all of these things that we went over, I think it's very clear that although Saitama is a lot more powerful and can beat some versions of Goku, I think that he just has a lot of trouble going up against Buu Saga Goku, and even if he does beat him, I don't see him getting past Super Goku.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair enough.
In retrospect, as you can see, Saitama definitely has a chance against a lot of forms of Goku, depending on how you scale him. But I would say that for sure, he does not make it past Dragon Ball Super Goku because he just has a lot of stuff in his plate. Especially when you account for the fact that in the manga, Goku is clearly much faster given that he was able to move in a timeless void. This is a really uncommon speed term, but it is...
I already disproved this because I was like, well, if that was the case, then you would have put Trunks in it, and base Trunks is not that powerful. When he goes into his rage form, he is that powerful, but in his base form, he doesn't get a power boost like how Goku and Vegeta do with their godly forms. So if that was the case, then that would make him that. Once again, like I said, just because a dimension has no time itself does not mean that time does not work, and that means the character can go and move around in a stop time world. A dimension without time is not the same as a dimension with stop time, because heaven also has the same thing. Heaven is a realm where time doesn't exist, but guess what? They can still move through there. All the characters can move through there, so they don't really take that into factor in Dragon Ball. or in most other
inaccessible
fictions.
speed. It is based this.
If you don't mind me saying, this might be consistent with the fact that Jiren is stated to surpass time with his power entirely. If he surpassed time, you shouldn't be bound by linear time at all. Thus meaning you can't measure a character using the basic speed formula. If that's the case, this could mean Goku's even faster than basic inaccessible speed, which would place him at immeasurable speed. Now this is a little bit more high-end, or highball, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think it can be said this is some potential scaling that you could give Goku.
But yeah, there you guys go. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown.
Well, that was Chuck's video on Goku versus Saitama, who would win after, the ending of the One Punch Man manga, which was chapter 100, or I think volume 169, which is quite a bit of volumes, but not as much as most other ones. But yeah, that should be the end of the debate of Saitama versus Goku. If you want to argue Z Goku versus Saitama, you can have a point where he could even beat Buu Saga, though I do think Buu Saga would be stronger than him with his speed, his technique, his fighting abilities. Even if he has a higher attack potency, even if he has that doesn't mean he's going to beat him, because Goku would still have a high level of durability still, and Goku would be able to still quite casually dodge him, and Goku doesn't need to get into a hand-to-hand combat. He can go from a distance and hit him with an energy attack. Unless you're saying that, he could, deflect it or destroy it. I don't think he could deflect it. I think he might destroy it with a punch, but he will still take some damage from it. But yeah, from what he's shown, it's pretty good. All I'm thinking right now is I have to now read the manga to see these feats. From what I've seen, his final feats, he's shown to be strong enough to with a punch destroy a large portion of space where it wipes out countless stars, making it multi-star level, maybe galaxy level. He can also apparently manipulate people, copy people's powers, specific ones, and go back in time. He also can destroy a planet with a sneeze and a moon with a regular serious punch. So he is, to be honest, I'll give him credit. He's far more powerful than I thought he was, but he's not stronger than Goku. He's not stronger than Superman. People who say he's stronger than Goku and Superman clearly do not know what they're talking about. For Neverworld, once again, no shade to him, but he kind of sucks when it comes to power scaling. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, he's saying that, but then he saw Goku threaten the macrocosm in Dragon Ball, and in the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, and he's saying he could beat Ultra Instinct Goku. Are you stupid? This guy is not even a universe level. At highest highball, multi-galaxy level. Nowhere near universe level. Nowhere. And speed, you could put him at very fast speeds, but that time thingy does not have anything to equate with that. Maybe he's millions of times faster than the speed of light, but I would not put him at, quintillions times or, to the more ridiculous levels that they put him. But yeah, Dragon Ball Super, definitely he would lose even against first arc Goku. Z, now at his max, he would definitely give Goku those other forms a run for his money. I think Buu Saga would be the highest. That's a toss-up. Goku could win, or he could win depending on different variables there. Though with strength-wise, I would lean more to Saitama on that level. But who knows? Maybe durability, speed, and everything else would be more on edge on Goku's part. But yeah, I just need to really reread it. When I do read the manga and stuff, I can go more in depth on those feats and make a video on it. But yeah, this was a really good video. Hopefully the Saitama versus Goku death battle is over now. I think it's definitive for anybody who's not a complete moron. Goku wins. Super Goku definitely wins. Z Goku, you're gonna have more of an argument there. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed this video. I can't wait to see more. I will be dropping on my videos talking about how strong these characters are and explaining these powers and debunking them in the near future. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.